Hi guys, it's Dr. Pam, and I am here with this week's burning question. So this week's question is a spin-off of last week's question, and if you remember, we talked about the use of phytoplankton and microalgae versus marine oils for omega-3 fatty acid supplementation. Both are potent. Which one do you use? And so I answered that in our video last week, and if you haven't seen it, I would go check it out because it's loaded in information that every single pet owner should have, okay? This week's question is a spin-off of that. And before I get to it, I want to tell you a couple things about fatty acids. There are different fatty acids. There's omega-3 and omega-6 and omega-9. And we could get into what each one does, but we just don't have the time. So understand that there's not a good or a bad omega fatty acid. It's the balance. It's how the ratios work together to give the overall function the boost and produce the vital health. So it's really about the balance. Now this is important because today's question is, why do we need omega-3 fatty acid supplementation? You hear me talk about it, but you don't know why I don't say, hey, pull out the omega-6 or hey, pull out the omega-9. Well, here's why. And one of the big reasons has to do with the modern day diet. Now, in the human field, we want a ratio of an omega-6 to omega-3 to be about a 4-to-1 ratio, okay? In the pet world, we're looking at a 5-to-1 ratio, and that produces optimal cellular function, which then, over time, produces vital health, which is what we're looking for, right? In the modern day human diet, it actually is 20-to-1. The way we eat, and it's really not just the way we eat, but the way that we raise our livestock, the way that we produce our food, the way that we manufacture our food, it creates a dominance of omega-6. Now, it's a little bit worse in the pet food industry. In fact, AAFCO, the regulatory agency of the pet food manufacturer, has stated that the maximum level can be a 30-to-1. Okay, so why is this important? Omega-6 is super important to create an inflammatory pathway. We all need that to live. If I cut my arm, I'm going to get a little bit of an inflammatory response. I'm going to get redness, swelling, and heat, and then that's going to signal all these chemical mediators in my body, which then is going to upregulate my immune system and get that cut fixed, right? And it works, and it's amazing. But when you live in a life that's dominant omega-6 to that degree more than where you are, you're going to create a chronic inflammation. And in a chronic inflammatory state, disease happens. If you look at the literature, they all tie every disease state back to a chronic source of inflammation. So if you have an inflammatory state, it's going to push that cancer pathway. The omega-6 overage and dominance pushes the cancer pathway, and it's now one of the top 3 killers in dogs and cats. So why do we actually supplement omega-3? Because we have that kind of an overage, right? We have that kind of an overage. And I'm going to tell you something about AAFCO. That regulatory agency oversees pet food manufacture, but it's made up of people that are actually in the industry. Do you think they're looking out for you and your pet? No, it's all about money. And as soon as we become accustomed to that, you just realize it's all about money. So what we're trying to do is give you information to help you increase the welfare of your pet, okay? So omega-6 is not bad, but that kind of overage is not good, right? So when you give omega-3s, you're balancing out. You're bringing down the ratio, and that's why we do it. That's one of the reasons that I use the marine oils. And here's the other piece that you have to remember. We talked last week about third-party assays. Go back and have a look if you don't know what I'm talking about. Not just the marine oils, but your omega-3s from phytoplankton and microalgae need to be third-party assayed. You need to have that third-party assay to make sure you're not putting more toxic things into your pet. So it's all about the balance. And I feel like that's a song, right? But it's all about the balance. Anyway, go ahead and take that information, buy your third-party assay omega-3 fatty acids in the marine oil form and also the phytoplankton microalgae form, and take that to the health bank. Have a great day.